Buckeyes rolled up to Madison, rolled out with a 34-0 win. I think it could have been a lot worse. I think they kind of didn't take the foot off the gas. I mean, they kept applying pressure, but it was also one of those things where it felt like they were working on things. Ryan got the young guys in really quickly. I know, Bake, you mentioned that in your three things on Friday, this notion of, let's sprinkle some young guys in while the game is still in question. And when you still have other guys out there, some of your stars out there, they did that a lot. One thing that I wanted to see was I wanted them to throw it to run it. Boy, did they. They came out spinning it. And the to run it part we'll get to, because I think when we start nitpicking some things, that's probably where you have a little bit of, I can't even say cause for concern with the straight face, because if you watch college football on a Saturday the way we all did, there is no cause for concern. And the reason for that is twofold. And there are two things that I'm curious about. Which has been better for you guys? Which has surprised you more positively? How dominant this defense has been. Ohio State has allowed 41 points through 7 games. It's the fewest points allowed by an FBS team through 7 games since 1998. Florida State allowed just 38 points in a game. Or Julian Sayin, who on Saturday went 36 of 42 for 394 and 4 touchdowns and is completing 80% of his passes. Reese, when you think back to what you were thinking this team could possibly be, go back to when you and I were sitting out there, first 2 practices end of July, which of those 2 phenomenons is most surprising for you, and which one gives you the better sense that, oh, this is going to be that not only best team in the country, highest ceiling, all of those things?
I think it's the defense. I figured that this was going to be the Julian that the Ohio State coaching staff thought he was when they went in the portal to get him, just because of the weapons he's got. Like Jeremiah Smith is, a couple yards over 500 on the season. Carnell Tate's almost there in terms of they could have 2,000-yard wide receivers. So I knew the talent was going to be there for Julian, and his accuracy during camp, I was like, yeah, that guy's going to be great for the entire year. This defense is playing at a level I wasn't prepared to sit here talking about. What, 41 points you just said?
41 points in 7 games.
And then you look at the other teams that are close to that in terms of points given up through 7 weeks, and it's Oklahoma, Texas, Indiana, but it's almost double that for those teams.
Yeah.
So I thought Julian would be good. I didn't think he would be this good. And, Bo, before the season, I said I thought this defense could be better than last year.
Yeah.
Definitely it would be more explosive, but I thought they could be better. And all of that being said, I still think it's the defense. Because I don't know if anybody saw this defense being this good and this dominant. Like, I literally thought that they could be better than last year, but even this has outpassed my expectations.
Yeah, this is the crazy thing that is about this Ohio State football team. You come into this thing with the highest expectations of all. I mean, they're number 3 in the country to start the year. A lot of people thought maybe they should be number 1. It was number 1 versus number 2 in the coaches poll when they played Texas in the opener. And you knew certain things about this team. You knew that they had the best receiving core in the country. You had a feeling that the linebackers, those of us who cover the team on a regular basis, knew that the linebacking play was going to be elite. You knew that you had maybe the best defensive player in college football in Caleb Downs. You knew that the back 7 would be among the best in the country. You just knew it. I know we said that in a lot of our previews going back to July and August. The defensive front's been better than I think some people thought, but those guys all waited. The key thing we were curious about is, okay, what does it look like for Matt Patricia? What does a Matt Patricia defense look like? What does that hire look like? Well, obviously it was an inspired hire, and Matt Patricia's been lights out. Julian was one of those things where, I mean, I remember the first time I saw him throw and went, well, that's different. That looks different coming out. And he's an interesting player to try to evaluate because it's not overpowering. It's not like he's this massive, and I think the fact that he kind of just looks like what he is, like a California surfer kid, and you feel like he's someone who's going to, go catch some waves in the middle of the afternoon. I mean, that's kind of the way that he kind of looks, but it's deceiving. The looks are very deceiving because his arm talent, the accuracy of his arm is unlike anything we've ever seen around here. We've had guys with bigger arms. We've had guys who could put it in a tight window further down the field and those type of things. I think Julian can do all that stuff too. The throw to Carnell Tate was an absolute dot that he trusted his guy, and Carnell made somehow that the catch that he made on it. And it helps that you have those two. But none of his throws are off target. He never misses. If he misses, it's intentional. They're interviewing him post-game, and on the bottom line, it says 36 of 42, 393, 4 touchdowns. And one of the things that he says is, we got some things we got to clean up. Oh, yeah? 36 of 42, 393, 4 touchdowns. I'm going to tell you this. If I went downstairs and put in college football 26 and played on freshmen, I'm not going 36 of 42 for 393 and 4 touchdowns. That's a video game stuff. And by the way, Wisconsin, Luke knew, and I thought they put a pretty good defensive effort in there in terms of stopping the run. And clearly what they were trying to do is say, okay, kid, go beat us if you can. And boy, did he. And I think they could have thrown it every single time. I think he could have thrown it 60 times in this game, and he would have completed 55 of them, honestly. I think that's kind of where we were headed in this thing. And I think they could have gone up and down the field at will anytime they wanted to. But his maturation and whatever you thought he could have been in practice, you had to see it in the games. And he played so clean against Texas, but it was a very muted performance because it wasn't needed. The defense was so dominant in that game. But every week, another layer peels off, and another layer and a layer, and now we're getting to the point where he throws it 42 times for just under 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, and you go, okay, and now all of a sudden you look at where this season is, the kid is completing 80% of his passes, nearly 1,900 yards, 19 touchdowns, 3 picks. There's nobody in the country playing quarterback better than him. There isn't. And it's going to lead to kind of this odd thing where he is going to propel himself, rightfully so, right into the middle of the Heisman conversation. He's going to go right.
He's there.
He's there. So he's there. That's why. I mean, I labeled this segment Sayin says hello world. We've been watching it. The world took notice of him on Saturday. I know you've seen a lot of the national guys. Ari Wasserman, who we have on all the time, was even tweeted, I think, on Saturday night, like, I feel like the rest of the world has been paying attention to Julian Sayin because of all the talent around him. Well, they are now. And a lot of the national people have done it. It's going to be a crazy Heisman thing because the two receivers are what they are, and Jeremiah's the best player in college football, so there's that part of it too. But this was his hello world performance. For whatever reason, everybody saw this one. I don't know if the stat line got around or whatever it was, but 36 of 42, 393, 4 touchdowns. That's as good of a stat line as you're ever going to see around here.
Well, I think it's the culmination of what he's done through an entire season.
Yeah.
Combined with what happened this weekend overall in college football, where you saw a lot of guys that played quarterback at a high level, that had Heisman odds, that had a lot of Heisman chatter going into the season, just kind of fall flat on their face. Like Carson Beck was a darling going into that Friday night game against Louisville, and then he's throwing his receivers under the bus after the game. His Heisman odds are taking a plummet. Like, this is... It shows something that we've all known, and this is a very difficult thing to do, be the quarterback of a high-level college football team, do it at the highest level week in and week out. And here's Julian with 19 touchdowns to 3 interceptions with the number one team in the country. Yeah. So it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do it and to be doing it consistently. And it feels like at the end of the game, the only way Julian would have been happy, and this is because Ryan Day is constantly in his head, if he was 46 or 42. Like, there's nothing you're going to do right now to satisfy this because of what Ryan Day has done. And this is going back to last year even, saying brick by brick, we're building this, and we're never going to be satisfied with what we've got.
In the last 30 years of Ohio State football, quarterbacks with multiple games of 85% completion percentage, 300-plus yards in the game, and three passing touchdowns with 0 interceptions, Julian Sayin. That's it.
That's the list. Yeah.
That's the list. And there's been some pretty damn good quarterbacks here, at least the past 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And he's it. It's funny, Bo. You talk about you've never seen someone like this at Ohio State before. I feel like the comparison to Julian is Joe Germain. I feel like there's so many similarities, like such just a natural thrower of the football. It doesn't look crazy, but it's accurate. It's got good zip on it, strong arm. Joe was a couple inches taller than Julian, if I remember. But, I mean, same demeanor. Like, doesn't matter if he throws a pick or a 60-yard touchdown. he walks off the field with just a little smile on his face, and you can't tell what happened in the game. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between those two, and he has just been he's almost like a surgeon back there with his precision.
Yeah, he is. He's everything that people thought Arch Manning would be. That's what he is. The highest expectations for a player. He's bigger than Jermaine, too. I think Joe's 6'1".
Really?
Right around there. Yeah.
I thought Joe was like 6'3".
Pretty sure he's 6'1". I mean, I met him, and I think he couldn't post me up. would have been a similar size matchup. So yeah, I mean, it's all of those things, and the way that I think Ryan took advantage of him, and I think what he did to get him going was so important. I mean, he got into rhythm right away. Here is Julian on the game plan Saturday.
I think, pretty quickly in the offense, just because the guys are making, be in the right spot in our RPOs and, in the quick game world. And I think the receivers were catching a knife and did a really good job. Offensive line was protecting well. So I think it's easy to get into a rhythm when guys are in the right spot and, they're making great plays after the catch. It definitely gives you a lot of confidence.
Julian Sayin is now third in the most recent Heisman odds behind Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson, the quarterbacks at Indiana and Alabama. If you're curious, and I would say this, if you can go get this right now if you can, Jeremiah Smith plus 3,000, jump that, because there's going to be a month where you're going to be able to do a lot of things, and those last couple of moments that you're going to be able to have with the Michigan game and most likely Indiana, There's some good play there. Speaking of that, Jeremiah Love wouldn't be the worst thing to throw a couple on either at plus 2,000 because he was unbelievable on Saturday night. So there's some value out there. But the kid, this was his Hello World weekend. There's no question about it. Nationally, everybody paid attention to what he was able to do. Much more on the Buckeyes. This defense, my goodness, it's just absolutely suffocating. If there are nits to pick, where do you pick them? I think we kind of all know, and we will get into that in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
What's up? What's up, man? So with you.
Sponsored by Newman Roofing. For all your roofing, gutter, or siding needs, call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
All right, here's what's up on a Reaction Monday edition of the program. One of the things we wanted to see, and I think it was my number one thing on Friday, was I wanted to throw it to run it. They did the first part. Here's Ryan Day on how that was part of the plan.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch the film and figure out what was good and what broke down. But as you guys could tell, we wanted to come out and throw the ball more in this game and kind of try to get a feel for where we really are in the passing game, because we know we're going to need both here down the stretch. And that's a defense that I think is a very good defense. And they don't always get put in the best situations throughout the season, but like I said to our offense, I said, this is a defense that tackles well. They're well coached. They do a good job. And, I think when we broke down, it was because, we either lost focus or didn't execute all the way down the field. And a good defense is going to force you to work the ball down the field like that. They're not just going to let you take long shots. Even when we tried to shoot the ball down the field, you could tell that, they're just backing up. And but it's good for them to feel that as well.
Last part's pretty important. That in terms of like the deep shots and those type of things, obviously they didn't want to give those things up. So you just took all of the stuff underneath, intermediate, and everything else. The other thing that was really impressive, I thought, was Julian's ability to step up in the pocket to create space, either scrambling right or left, and keep his eyes up and look downfield and make plays. Here's Ryan on Julian coming through when they're off schedule.
But now that, as we throw and catch, we have to be efficiently working the ball down the field, and all it takes is one play to be off, and you find yourself off schedule. And it was good in the first drive. We came out and found ourselves in a 3rd and long and made a great throw and catch to score. And then, it's good to get a turnover early to get the rhythm going. But we'll look and see, how the run game, to me, looking at it, we left, some meat on the bone in the run game for sure. But to see us throw the ball we did was a big step in the right direction. And I thought Julian made some really good decisions in the RPO game. I thought he checked the ball down for the most part when we needed to. And then, his off-schedule plays were excellent to me. I found his checkdowns at times, but the scramble plays, like the one to Brandon, was really well done, and found a few other ones as well.
Finally, here's Coach Dan. What impresses him most about his quarterback?
I'm impressed with his preparation. I sit in those meetings with Billy and he and Lincoln, and I just the amount of information that he's processing and those guys go through in those meetings is well done. And when you see it translate to on the field, that's winning football. And so when you just can take a meeting to the field as quickly as he can and then see it and then process it, is he perfect? No, there's things he's going to work to get better at, but man, he's got a bright future ahead of him.
He's pretty dang close. I mean, 36 of 42, 393, 4 touchdowns, no picks, pretty close to perfect. If you're going to nitpick, and that's what you got to do, although even as I say that, as I watched everybody else in the country on Saturday, I don't even know if you need to do it because everybody is so flawed. There is no team in the country. Indiana's probably playing the closest to as comprehensive as Ohio State is on a week-in, week-out basis, but there's nobody in the country that is impervious to mistake. There's nobody in the country that doesn't have a lot of flaws. I mean, some of these SEC teams that survive and advance week in and week out, like Georgia somehow with that crazy game against Ole Miss, or Alabama very easily could have lost a couple of games in their last month and may lose some more. There isn't anybody who's even close to playing this comprehensive as Ohio State is, offense and defense, in the country. And that to be said, now we're going to nitpick a little bit because this is what you do. The only thing that you would say isn't quite where it needs to be is probably the run game. And I think we thought you had an answer in it in Bo Jackson. He didn't seem quite as explosive this week as he had been previous. 10 carries for 26 for him. Isaiah West kind of came out of nowhere. At one point, Beamsy said, "Is that Travion?" And he looked just like him in the 32. He ends up 9 for 55, had a 15-yarder, which was the longest. That was the longest run of the day for the Buckeyes. C.J. Donaldson just 2 for 12. Obviously, James Peoples is well deep in the depth chart now, is kind of a little bit of a forgotten man. I think got him a pass late in the game, but that was about it. And so if there is something, concern is probably too strong of a word, but if there is something that the bye week I'm certain will be a point of emphasis, it's going to be this, right? It's going to be this ground game, because at this point, based on what they've done in the passing game, there aren't many notes that you need to have.
Yeah, and I wonder if through 7 games in 8 weeks, you've still questioning if that's the best 5 you're putting on that offensive line. I do think there's cause. Yeah. There's cause for pause, and it's good that they have this bye week to do that. I'm not sure what Penn State's going to be. I mean, the Nittany Lions are also off, but it's just been a complete mess for them. So will you have questions on your front answered post-November 1? I don't know. But I think if that's a spot we're going to find something on this Ohio State team to nitpick, I'd say, are we sure it's Tegra? Are we sure that Josh Padilla, who ate into some of his snaps on Saturday, if maybe that's not the fix against the Nittany Lions, or do you start Tegra and then see how the game goes, give him kind of a shorter leash? In what are you doing to figure out your best 5 in the bye? I guess is the biggest thing for an Ohio State team that just lacks so many problems, real problems.
If I told you through 7 games, Ohio State would be averaging 160 yards rushing a game and 4.7 yards a carry,
yeah,
I think you'd take that. I'm not worried about this rushing attack at all, especially with Bo Jackson was coming off of a little bit of an ankle injury here, too. Mm-hmm. Who knows if he was 100% this week. You heard Carson Hensman last week talk about this front 7 for Wisconsin and said that it was pretty good. And Ohio State showed you that the way to beat this Wisconsin team was in their secondary, to beat them throwing the football, because they came out slinging it.
Yep.
So Ryan Day and Brian Hartline and the gang put together a plan that they thought was best to win the football game, and they thought it was best to throw the ball against this Wisconsin team because of this Wisconsin team's front on the defensive side of the ball. I love what I've seen from Bo Jackson all year. Isaiah West sure seems like he's got something, and C.J. Donaldson is a very competent running back. The left side of this offensive line is ridiculously good. And I think the right side's pretty good, too. I just think they want to work some guys in the spot that they're doing that is at right guard. Now, we can say what we want about Tegra in the past couple years, and should they have someone else, it's been working just fine. And I'm not worried about the running game at all. The two things that concern me on this team, if you want to have concern about something, are special teams. And I don't know if it's play calling or if it's execution, but when the ball hits the 20 in the red zone, something changes. And those two things are way more concerning to me than the running game.
Yeah, I think the last part you mentioned there is part of the run game, though, right? Because what has happened in the red zone is, and you're right on most of that, Bake, I do think to be the last team standing, there's two things elite teams can do. Run it when you know you're going to run it, and throw it when you know you're going to throw it. And they can throw it when the other team knows they're going to throw it. And they need to be able to run it. If you're going to win a national title, that's the standard you're being held to here, right? Which is an absurd standard. But can you run it when the other team knows you're going to run it? And I think some of the things that are happening in the deep red zone are the inability to pick up those easy yards, those not easy yards, those tough yards, the 3rd and 1, the 3rd and goal at the 2, those type of things. There was one where it was kind of going kind of off, and I just tweeted, like, just sneak it with Sayin on 4th and short, and they did, and he picked up 3 yards. Like, so it's like, just do that. Like that works almost every single time. But yes, and the special teams there's some stuff there that needs to be shored up, I think, a little bit. But we're holding to the very highest of standards. We'll get Austin's take on the game in Madison coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here.